She says you don't feel anything. That was the therapist's opening line. Not even a good morning. Just that, 7 words that hung in the air like smoke from a slow-burning fire. I blinked. My wife, Leah, sat to my left, legs crossed, arms folded, her wedding ring flashing like a badge she'd long stopped honoring. She didn't look at me, just stared past my shoulder, as if even glancing in my direction might validate my existence. He's emotionally unavailable, she said, voice calm but cutting. It's like living with a closed door. A closed door. That one stung. Because once upon a time, she used to knock, even if I didn't always answer. Now she just barged into rooms I hadn't built for her. The therapist, some mid-50s guy with thin glasses and a voice soft enough to lull panic attacks, gave a practiced nod. Tell me more about that. Leah sighed like the weight of our marriage was a burden she had to explain to a child. He never initiates conversation unless it's logistical. He doesn't open up. I feel like I'm living with a roommate who just happens to know where I keep my toothbrush. That part was fair. I had retreated. I won't deny it. But what she left out, what she always left out, was why. She used to touch me like I was something precious. Now, she scrolled through her phone with more emotion than she looked at me. And somewhere along the way, I stopped asking questions I didn't want to know the answers to. But here's the part she didn't expect. I had receipts. And they weren't metaphors. The voicemail started 6 months ago. First one was short. Just her laughing, soft, shy, intimate. A version of her I hadn't heard in years. She never laughed like that with me anymore. I only heard it because I accidentally hit play on her Bluetooth speaker while she was in the shower. At first, I thought it was old. A saved message from years ago. Then I heard it. I miss you. I hate sleeping alone again. It was dated from that week. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I'm not built for drama. I'm built for endurance. So I did what I've always done. I listened. I observed. And slowly, I put together the puzzle she didn't think I could see. She deleted some messages, but not all. She wasn't stupid, just comfortable. Complacent. Like I was too numb or too dull to do anything. Every night after she fell asleep, I'd sit in my car with headphones, listening to the man she claimed to have blocked a year ago. His voice wasn't deep. It wasn't even confident. But it was intimate. Too intimate. I pieced together enough to understand what was going on. Not just old emotions. New ones. Living ones. Being fed like houseplants on the windowsill of her guilt. The man? David. Her ex from college. The one she always insisted was too immature for a real relationship. Apparently, maturity grows with distance. The messages varied. Sometimes playful. Sometimes serious. But always personal. And one thing kept repeating. I don't know how long I can keep pretending. I started recording them. Not to hurt her. Not at first. But because I needed to be sure I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't imagining the decay in her eyes every time I told her I loved her. In therapy, though, I said none of this. Not for 3 sessions. I let her speak. I let her tell the story of her isolation, her emotional starvation. I nodded when the therapist asked if I thought I could do more. I even apologized, because part of me still believed I could have been better. I should have been better. But last Tuesday, that's when it changed. We were mid-session, and she was on a roll, painting herself as the long-suffering wife of a man too scared to open his heart. He never asks how I feel. Never checks in. He just exists beside me. I need more. The therapist turned to me. Can you speak to that? I pulled out my phone. Actually, I said, I think it's time we all heard how you feel. Leah's smile froze. What are you doing? I scrolled, tapped play. Her voice filled the room. Soft, breathy, intimate. I think about you every night. I try not to, but I do. He's good. He's kind. But he's not you. She lunged forward. Turn it off. The therapist held up a hand. Let it play. Another message followed. Then another. Her voice, over and over, dismantling the image she'd spent weeks building. Until finally, silence. And then the therapist did something I didn't expect. He didn't speak. Not right away. He just sat there, staring at her. 30 full seconds. Long enough to make her squirm, to make the air feel heavy. Finally, he said, Is this recent? I nodded. Last month. Leah looked down. Her hand trembled slightly as she reached for the tissue box, but she didn't take one. Instead, she whispered, I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But some doors, once closed, don't open again. Not because they're locked, but because you've boarded them shut from the inside. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. She said it like it was a dropped glass. Like the real tragedy was the sound it made hitting the floor, not the fact that it was broken. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Not because I didn't have words. I had too many. And none of them were safe to speak yet. The therapist, Dr. Malone, finally leaned forward, fingers tinted like he was about to pray. Leah, these recordings, they indicate a continuing emotional relationship. More than friendship. Would you say that's accurate? Leah wiped the corner of her eye, but still didn't take a tissue. It wasn't physical. Not again. Not since before the wedding. Not since before the wedding. That hit like a slow earthquake, the kind that doesn't knock you down right away. It just cracks the foundation beneath your feet. You told me you blocked him, I said. That he was history. I did. Her voice broke. For years I did. But he reached out after my dad's funeral. I was in a dark place. You were distant, and what? My voice was low but steady. So you went looking for comfort from the past? She didn't answer. Instead, she looked to Dr. Malone like she wanted him to rescue her. Maybe even reprimand me for turning the session into an ambush. But he didn't. He just scribbled something in his notebook and said, "Can we talk about why you felt you couldn't turn to your husband?" And just like that, the spotlight moved. Off the betrayal, off the recordings, and back onto me. I sat back, stunned. Not because I didn't expect it, but because part of me still thought that proof of her dishonesty would mean something. That the pain I swallowed for 6 months had a place in this room. But therapy doesn't work like that. It's not court. There's no gavel, no verdict. Just exploration. Just feelings. Leah saw the opening. She took it. "I felt like he was already gone," she said. "Like he started building a wall the moment we said I do. He doesn't let me in. Doesn't talk about what he's afraid of. Doesn't share." She looked at me. Not angry. Not defensive. Just sad. I tried. I really did. And you know what? She wasn't lying. She had tried. I remembered the first year of marriage. The notes she'd leave in my jacket pocket. The spontaneous hugs. The long walks where she asked deep questions I brushed off. I always chalked it up to introversion. To needing space. But maybe that space became a canyon. And in that canyon, she found an echo she mistook for love. Still, she'd lied. Deceived. Maintained a secret line to a man who once broke her heart, and now helped her betray mine. "I didn't cheat," she said again, like repetition might absolve her. "You deleted the messages. I was ashamed. You called him the night after we renewed our vows." She went quiet. Dr. Malone cleared his throat. "Let's pause here. I think there's a lot of pain in the room right now. Both of you are hurting." "No," I said quietly. "She's hurting because she got caught. I'm hurting because I lived 6 months thinking I was going insane, wondering why my wife was pulling away while telling me she wanted to grow closer." Leah shifted uncomfortably. "You don't know how lonely I felt. And you don't know how hard I was trying." I snapped. "I took more overtime so we could afford IVF. I went to every appointment. I held your hand when you cried and never once asked for anything back. You never said what you felt. Because I didn't think I was allowed to. And there it was. My truth. My sin. I'd become so focused on being stable, dependable, strong, that I forgot to be soft, vulnerable, human." Dr. Malone nodded slowly. "There's the door," he said. We both looked at him. "What door?" she asked. He tapped his notebook. "You've both been standing on opposite sides of a locked door for years. Knocking, kicking, waiting for the other to open it. But no one did. So you gave up. You looked elsewhere. And you." He looked at me. "You shut down." Leah's face crumpled. She leaned forward, finally grabbing a tissue, but she didn't wipe her face. She just held it. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never stopped loving you." I stared at her, trying to feel something. Anything. But the moment had passed. Because love that has to climb through windows and crawl under doors doesn't survive long. It withers, starves, turns to dust. Dr. Malone said we should take the week to reflect. "No decisions today," he said. "Just space. Time." We walked to the car in silence. She reached for my hand, and for the first time in a decade, I didn't reach back. She didn't press. She just got in, buckled up, and stared out the window. And I sat there, hands on the wheel, wondering how long I'd been driving a marriage that ran out of gas long before I noticed. A week of silence passes slower than grief. She stayed in the guest room. No knocks. No midnight attempts to bridge the gap with whispered apologies or late-night confessions. Just the creak of her door, the sound of the kettle, her careful footsteps avoiding mine like we were strangers renting the same sorrow. I didn't snoop, didn't press. I didn't need to. Because when trust is broken, you don't go looking for more evidence. You just stop expecting the truth. And yet, part of me still hoped that she'd come clean, fully, that she'd sit across from me, eyes red, voice raw, and tell me the whole story, not the curated version meant to soften the fall, but the jagged, messy truth. But she didn't. On the 8th day, she made pancakes. It was a peace offering, the way it always was after our fights. Except this wasn't a fight. It was a fracture. And pancakes can't fix broken vows. She placed the plate in front of me like it was sacred. I looked down, then back up. You never told me how long it went on, I said. She didn't pretend not to know what I meant. After my dad's funeral, she began. He messaged. Just one line. I heard. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Not at first. But it felt good, someone knowing how to talk to me without tiptoeing. You mean someone who didn't require effort? She flinched. Maybe. I pushed the plate aside. Was there more? Her eyes welled. Yes. Did you sleep with him? She hesitated. But only for a second. Yes. Once. 6 months ago. The breath left my lungs like a punctured balloon. And the messages? I asked, my voice numb. All those nights, all those calls. They were after. I didn't want to lose him completely. He understood me in ways you didn't. It wasn't a knife. It was a quiet decapitation, the kind of truth that doesn't bleed, it just ends things. I nodded. She cried then. Not loud. Just steady. Silent sobs, shoulders trembling, face buried in her palms like she wanted to disappear. I hate what I did, she said. I hate that I became this. I wanted to say something. Anything. But there's no script for this moment. No way to hold someone accountable and comfort them in the same breath. So I just stood. She looked up, startled. Where are you going? To pack. Her face contorted. Please. Please don't. I have to, I said. Because if I don't walk away now, I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to earn your honesty. And I shouldn't have to earn what you promised me freely. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. I didn't leave when you got cold, she said. When you shut down. I stayed. I didn't lie, I replied. I didn't find warmth in someone else's arms. That landed. Hard. She nodded, slowly. Her lips parted like she had more to say, but for once, she chose silence. I packed light. A suitcase. My laptop. Toothbrush. I didn't take anything sentimental. Sentiment had become a liability. As I zipped up the bag, she stood in the hallway, arms crossed like she was trying to hold herself together. Is this goodbye? She asked. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe it's just space. Maybe it's the start of something neither of us understands yet. Tears rolled down her face. She didn't wipe them. I love you, she whispered. I nodded. But you chose someone else when it mattered. And with that, I walked out. Not in anger. Not with dramatic door slams or burning words. Just quiet. Just final. The weeks that followed felt strange. The absence was loud. I missed the smell of her hair on the pillows, the way she hummed while folding laundry, the way her fingers always found mine under the covers, even on the coldest nights. But I didn't miss the lies. I didn't miss the constant second-guessing, the paranoia, the feeling that every smile might be a mask, every text a betrayal. Therapy became solo. I kept seeing Dr. Malone. I told him everything. He listened, then said something I won't forget. Forgiveness isn't the same as returning. You can heal without rebuilding. So I focused on healing. I started running again, cooking, calling old friends I'd lost touch with. I stopped checking my phone for her messages. Until one night, 3 months later, she emailed me. No begging, no manipulation, just a subject line. If you ever wondered. The message was short. David's gone. I ended it. I've started therapy alone. I don't expect anything from you. But I wanted you to know that you were never emotionally unavailable. I just stopped listening. I confused silence with absence. You were always there. And I'm sorry for not seeing it until it was too late. I read it twice, then deleted it. Because closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes, it's the choice not to reply. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not even bitter. I'm just clear. She was right about one thing. There was a door between us. But the difference? I knocked. She walked away. And now, For the first time in a long time, I've stopped waiting on the other side.